Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive all about making the most of our time.
Time management.
Yep. It's something we could all use a little help with.
Absolutely.
That's why we're diving into this fascinating audiobook, Gerenciamento de Tempo.
Okay.
It's packed with practical strategies and insights to boost our productivity.
Sounds promising.
And what really grabbed me is how it breaks down the process into clear steps.
Okay, like what?
Well, it starts with tackling those bad habits that steal our time.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Then it moves into creating schedules that actually work for us.
So, structure, but not rigidity.
Exactly. And finally, it reveals some really practical ways to increase our productivity without burning out.
Okay, I'm intrigued already.
What really stood out to me is the idea of tackling bad habits before even trying to build good ones.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like clearing the clutter before you try to organize.
You've got to create space for the good stuff to flourish, right?
It's like that junk drawer we all have.
Oh, totally.
You can't really organize it until you get rid of the stuff you don't need.
100%. And speaking of clutter, the audiobook calls out a major time waster that I think we're all guilty of.
Distractions.
Distractions. Especially those tempting black holes of social media.
Oh, don't even get me started.
The book claims that people can lose hours each day to scrolling and notifications. It's wild.
I mean, I've definitely had those days where I look up and realize I've spent way too much time just scrolling.
And it's not just the time we lose, it's the impact on our focus and attention.
Oh, yeah. Our brains are being trained to crave those quick hits of information.
Right. Making it harder to settle into those more complex and demanding tasks.
Instead of reading that thought-provoking article, we're just skimming headlines and reacting to memes.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, are we sacrificing depth for speed?
That's a really good question. And it's something to really think about as we navigate this world of information overload.
Yeah, it's a constant challenge.
It definitely makes me want to be more mindful of how I'm using my time online.
Absolutely.
So another thing that the book challenges is the idea of multitasking.
Ah, yeah, that myth.
I used to think juggling multiple tasks at once was like a superpower.
Oh, the sign of a true multitasker.
But this book compares it to running errands all over town in a completely random order.
So much wasted time and energy.
It might feel busy.
But you're not being efficient.
Not at all.
And actually, research shows that multitasking can make us less efficient.
Less.
Yeah. It's because of the cognitive cost of switching between tasks.
Oh, I see.
Each time we shift our focus, our brain has to kind of reorient itself.
Right.
And that takes time and energy.
So we might think we're saving time by doing multiple things at once.
But we're actually slowing ourselves down.
So those little habits we think are helping us.
It'll be hurting us.
Yeah, I'm starting to rethink those times when I'm trying to answer emails while also prepping for a meeting.
Yeah. Are you really giving either task your full attention?
Probably not. So once we start breaking those bad habits,
We can start building more effective ones.
the audiobook goes deep into the importance of routines,
Routines.
suggesting that even the most successful people rely on them to structure their days.
Oh, absolutely. Routines provide a framework for productivity.
It's not about being rigid,
Right.
but about having a framework that supports your goals.
Exactly. Like a game plan for your time.
Yeah, so you're not just letting it slip away. And one of the most important aspects of that game plan is establishing a consistent sleep schedule.
Sleep is crucial.
The audiobook really stresses sticking to a regular sleep-wake cycle,
Even on weekends.
even on weekends. I know I've noticed a huge difference in my energy levels when I'm consistent with my sleep.
Oh, absolutely. It makes a world of difference.
When I stay up late and sleep in on weekends, it throws off my whole week.
Your body gets confused.
Yeah. But when I stick to a regular sleep schedule, I feel so much more alert and focused.
There's a reason for that. Regular sleep helps regulate our circadian rhythms,
Oh, interesting.
which leads to better sleep quality.
And more energy during the day.
Exactly.
Okay, so consistent sleep is the foundation for a productive day. But what about those times when we're feeling sluggish, even after a good night's sleep?
We've all been there.
I know I have.
Well, the audiobook talks about identifying our peak hours.
Peak hours.
Those times of day when we're most energized and focused.
Oh, okay.
And it suggests scheduling our most demanding tasks during those peak hours to maximize our productivity.
So it's different for everyone.
Right. Some people are morning people, others are night owls. It's about tuning into our own natural rhythms.
And working with our energy not against it.
Exactly.
I've definitely noticed that I'm more of a morning person.
Okay.
Afternoons are definitely for less demanding tasks for me,
I see.
like responding to emails or catching up on reading.
Mm.
I'd never really thought to schedule my day around my energy levels like that.
It can be a game changer. Leads us to the next step in the audiobook's right map for using our time wisely organizing.
Organizing.
Our time. Our lives in general.
Okay, so we're talking about conquering clutter, both physical and digital.
That's right.
I know I spend way too much time searching for things. My desk is a disaster.
It's a common struggle. The audiobook points out how much time we waste searching for lost keys, misplaced documents, that one email buried in our inbox.
Oh, it's painful. Imagine how much time we could reclaim if everything had its place.
Right. So the book advocates for regular decluttering.
Getting rid of anything on your workspace that isn't essential.
Exactly. And digitally. It suggests organizing files and emails into folders.
So you can find what you need instantly.
It's about creating systems that support efficiency.
My computer desktop is calling my name right now. What else does the audiobook recommend for organizing tasks?
Well, it introduces this concept of batching. Grouping similar tasks together to streamline your workflow.
Okay, so instead of scattering errands throughout the week,
Do them all in one trek.
instead of checking email constantly,
Designate specific times for it.
so reducing those context switches.
Exactly. Staying in the same mode for longer to maximize focus.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to work. I'm already starting to see how all of these strategies are connected.
It's all about creating a more intentional way of working.
So we've tackled bad habits, established routines, embraced organization. What's next on the agenda for conquering time?
Well, it wouldn't be a conversation about time management without addressing the dreaded P word.
Procrastination.
Procrastination.
Oh, we're all too familiar with that one.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
But the audiobook has some interesting strategies for overcoming the struggle.
Okay, I'm listening.
One suggestion that might sound counterintuitive is tackling the hardest tasks first.
Hardest tasks first.
I know. We tend to put off difficult tasks because they feel daunting.
They do.
But the book argues that getting them out of the way early frees up mental energy and sets a positive tone for the rest of the day.
So it's like clearing a big hurdle early in the race.
Exactly. You get that sense of accomplishment early on.
But what about those times when a task feels so overwhelming that it's hard to even get started?
I get it. It can be paralyzing.
Does the audiobook address that?
It does. It suggests breaking large projects down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Smaller steps.
Instead of trying to paint the entire house at once, focus on prepping one room.
Okay.
Instead of writing the whole report.
Start with the introduction.
Exactly.
It makes it feel less daunting.
Much more approachable.
And as you conquer each small step, you build momentum and motivation.
Making it easier to tackle the next one.
This has given me a whole new perspective on my to-do list.
Good.
Does the audiobook just focus on getting things done, or does it also talk about the importance of taking breaks?
It actually emphasizes the value of breaks.
Really?
Yeah. It might seem counterintuitive,
It does.
but short, intentional breaks can boost productivity.
I've always felt guilty taking breaks,
A lot of people do.
like I'm slacking off.
But think about it. When you try to power through for hours on end,
You get burned out.
you end up making more mistakes.
You're right.
The book suggests that even a few minutes away from your work
Okay.
can help you return feeling more refreshed and focused.
Kind of like hitting the reset button on your brain.
Exactly. And those breaks don't have to be unproductive.
Oh, whoop.
You can use them to do something that re-energizes you.
Like a quick walk.
A quick walk, listen to a favorite song.
Have a brief chat with a colleague.
Anything that helps you de-stress and recharge.
So it's not about working longer, but about working smarter.
That's the key. It's about understanding how our brains work and using that knowledge to our advantage.
I like that. I'm starting to think of breaks as strategic investments in my productivity,
That's a great way to look at it.
not distractions from it.
It all ties into the audiobook's advice on eliminating redundant activities.
You mean those time wasters that creep into our day and steal our focus?
You got it. Those mindless scrolling sessions.
Oh, no.
Those tangents down internet rabbit holes.
Uh-huh.
Those endless email chains.
Why?
The book suggests setting limits on these activities.
Okay.
Maybe scheduling specific times for social media or email checks so they don't consume our entire day.
It's about being intentional about where our attention goes.
That's a great way to put it. And that seems to be a recurring theme throughout this book.
Intentionality.
Intentionality. It's not just about managing time, it's about managing our energy, our focus, and our choices.
It makes you think about how we're spending our most valuable resource.
Speaking of valuable resources, the audiobook also highlights the connection between a healthy lifestyle and using our time well.
That makes sense. It's hard to be productive when you're running on fumes.
It emphasizes mindful eating,
Okay,
avoiding processed foods that lead to energy crashes.
that makes sense.
And it encourages incorporating regular exercise into your routine.
Even if it's just a short walk or a few stretches.
Even a little bit can go a long way.
I always feel more energized and focused after a good workout.
It's like hitting the reset button.
And I've definitely noticed that when I eat healthy foods and prioritize exercise,
Your energy levels soar.
yeah, I have more energy to tackle my to-do list.
It's amazing how interconnected these things are. Our physical and mental well-being directly impacts our ability to focus, make decisions, and get things done.
This has been an incredibly insightful dive so far. I'm already feeling inspired to be more intentional about how I use my time. But before we wrap things up for part one, I'm curious to get your thoughts on something the book mentions briefly.
Okay, what's that?
The concept of time abundance versus time scarcity.
Our mindset about time.
It suggests that our mindset about time can greatly influence our experience of it.
Absolutely. If we approach time with a scarcity mindset, always feeling like there's never enough,
Right.
we're more likely to experience stress and overwhelm.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But if we cultivate a sense of time abundance,
Believing that we have enough time to accomplish what's truly important.
we're more likely to feel empowered and in control.
So it's not just about managing the minutes and hours.
It's about managing our perception of time.
That's a really powerful concept to consider.
It really is. And it sets the stage for the next part of our deep dive, where we'll explore how to create a life that feels both productive and fulfilling.
I can't wait. But for now, we'll leave you with that thought-provoking question.
Do you view time as a scarce resource or as something that's abundant?
It's something to ponder as we continue our exploration of time management in part two. Welcome back. As we dig deeper into this audiobook, I keep thinking about that question we left you with. Do you view time as scarce or abundant? It's amazing how our mindset can impact our approach to time. If we're always feeling rushed, like we're chasing the clock, it's so easy to get caught in that cycle of stress.
And overwhelm.
Yeah.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah.
If we believe we never have enough time, we're more likely to make choices that just reinforce that belief.
Right, like overcommitting, multitasking, and ending up just exhausted.
Exactly. But the audiobook suggests there's another way.
Okay.
Shifting our perspective to one of time abundance. If we believe we have enough time to accomplish what's truly important to us, we're more likely to make choices that support that.
So we might prioritize our tasks, set boundaries, delegate effectively, freeing up time and energy for those things that really matter.
Exactly. And that brings us to one of the most practical strategies the audiobook offers. Goal setting.
Goal setting.
Sounds simple, right?
It does.
But it's amazing how many of us go through our days without a clear sense of direction.
Without a roadmap.
The audiobook encourages us to step back and think about our long-term goals. What do we really want to achieve?
Both personally and professionally.
Exactly.
It's about making sure those daily actions are aligned with those big picture aspirations.
Making sure we're moving in the direction we want to go.
Even if it's just one small step at a time.
Exactly. And that leads to the concept of time blocking.
Time blocking. We talked about this a bit in part one.
We did.
But I have to admit, the idea of scheduling specific blocks of time for different tasks.
It can feel a little intimidating.
It does. What if unexpected things pop up? What if I don't finish a task within the allotted time? Life doesn't always fit neatly into boxes.
You're right. And the audiobook acknowledges that flexibility is key. It's not about creating a rigid schedule.
Right.
It's more like a framework to guide our decisions.
Okay, so if something unexpected comes up,
You adjust your time blocks.
and if I don't finish a task within the allotted time,
reschedule it for another block.
so it's more about having a plan than sticking to it perfectly.
Exactly.
Like having a map for a road trip.
You got it. You might encounter detours or unexpected delays, but the map helps you stay oriented, keeps you moving in the right direction.
I like that analogy. And it makes me think about those inevitable distractions that can throw even the most carefully planned schedule off track.
Oh, yeah. Those unexpected phone calls, urgent emails, colleagues who stop by for just a minute.
That turn into an hour-long conversation. Does the audiobook offer any strategies for dealing with these interruptions?
It does, and they're surprisingly simple. One of the most impactful strategies is creating a distraction-free work environment.
Okay.
Turn off notifications on your phone.
Okay.
Close unnecessary tabs on your computer.
Right.
Find a quiet space where you can really focus.
This resonates with me so much. I find when I have like a million tabs open on my computer, my brain feels so scattered.
It's like information overload.
It is. My attention is being pulled in a dozen different directions. I can't focus on any one thing.
Makes sense. Closing those tabs, creating a calm, uncluttered workspace.
It can make a world of difference.
It's like trying to read a book in a noisy room, right?
Yeah.
Much harder to absorb the information when there are all these distractions.
Creating that calm, focused workspace.
It's essential.
Something I can definitely implement today. But what about those distractions that come from other people?
Ah, yes. The people factor.
It can be tough to say no when a colleague asks for help or a client needs something urgently.
It is. And the audiobook addresses that. It emphasizes the importance of setting boundaries with the people around us.
Okay.
Letting colleagues know that you're unavailable for a certain period of time.
Right.
Setting specific hours for checking emails and returning calls.
Okay.
Or just politely but firmly excusing yourself from conversations that are derailing your focus.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
We want to be helpful and approachable.
Of course.
But we also need to protect our time and energy. How do we navigate that?
The audiobook encourages clear and respectful communication.
Okay.
Explain that you're not able to take on the request right now.
Okay.
Maybe offer an alternative solution. Suggest someone else who might be a better fit.
I see.
The key is to be direct but respectful.
Being assertive, not aggressive. Taking ownership of our time.
Exactly.
Communicating our needs.
In a way that respects both ourselves and others.
I think a lot of us struggle with saying no, especially when we want to be seen as team players.
Yeah.
But sometimes saying no to those distractions.
Is actually saying yes to our own productivity.
Yeah, to our well-being.
The audiobook also has a great tip for unavoidable distractions. Do not disturb mode.
Oh, yes.
Whether it's on your phone, your computer, or even just a sign on your door.
I love that.
Signals to others that you need focus time.
Sometimes we need those visual cues.
Exactly.
To remind ourselves and everyone else.
That you're in the zone. Use this time for those tasks that need deep focus and concentration.
I like it. It's like creating a little bubble of productivity.
Exactly.
This is all starting to come together. It's not just about managing our time.
Right.
It's about managing our energy, our attention, our environment.
Oh, interactions with others.
Creating this holistic approach to productivity.
That supports our well-being. That's the key.
You've hit the nail on the head. This book isn't just about checking things off a list.
Right.
It's about living a life that feels both productive and fulfilling.
That's what we're all striving for.
That's a great way to put it. And sometimes the most productive thing we can do is delegate.
Delegation.
Yeah.
So important. It's easy to think we have to do everything ourselves.
I know, I'm guilty of that.
But the reality is we're often more effective when we focus on our strengths and delegate tasks that others can handle more efficiently.
I think a lot of people struggle with delegation.
It can feel like giving up control,
It does.
like admitting weakness.
Yeah.
But the audiobook makes it clear. Delegation done well. It's a win-win for everyone.
Okay.
Frees up your time to focus on your priorities.
Yeah.
Develops the skills and experience of others.
Uh-huh.
Creates a more collaborative work environment.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
This is making me rethink my whole approach.
Hmm?
I've always prided myself on being independent and self-sufficient, but maybe I've been holding myself back by trying to do everything myself.
It's a common trap. Sometimes the most empowering thing you can do is let go of that need to control everything.
I trust others.
To do a good job.
I'm seeing delegation in a whole new light. It's not about weakness or laziness. It's about leverage and empowerment.
Creating a system where everyone can thrive.
And contribute their best work.
Exactly. Which leads us to the next chapter of our deep dive, creating a sustainable and fulfilling lifestyle that honors our time and our values.
I'm ready. But for now, we'll leave you with this thought-provoking question. What tasks could you delegate to others?
And how would that free up your time and energy to focus on those things that really matter to you?
It's a question worth considering, as we all try to create a life that feels both productive and purposeful. Welcome back to our final part in this deep dive into gerenciamento de tempo. As we've been exploring these strategies, I've really had like a mindset shift. It's not about like squeezing more in. It's about making choices that align with our goals and values, you know.
It was so easy to get caught up in the busyness of it all, you know.
I know, right?
always feeling the pressure to do more, be more, achieve more. But this audiobook encourages us to step back and really ask ourselves, what really matters? What do we want our lives to be about?
And that leads to one of the most powerful, yet often overlooked, aspects of effective time management, saying no.
The art of saying no.
It can feel counterintuitive, it's especially in a culture that glorifies being busy all the time.
It's true. We're often conditioned to say yes out of obligation or fear of missing out.
Guilt even.
But every time we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. Our time and energy are finite resources, and we need to be very careful about how we use them.
This makes me think about all those times I've overcommitted myself. Ended up feeling stressed and resentful, saying yes to projects or commitments that didn't really excite me just because I felt like I should.
It happens to the best of us.
Any suggestions from the audiobook on how to say no gracefully?
Well, it stresses being polite but firm. Simply explain that you can't take on the request right now, but maybe offer an alternative or suggest someone who might be a better fit.
So be clear and direct.
While still respecting the other person's time.
It's not about being rude, it's about honoring our own limits and priorities, and recognizing that saying no to certain things frees us up to say a bigger yes to the things that truly matter, things that align with our values and goals.
Exactly. And that leads us to another important theme that runs through the book: mindfulness and time management.
Mindfulness.
It's not just about schedules and systems. We need to be aware of how we're actually spending our time.
Being more present in our daily lives, noticing where our time and energy go, making adjustments.
Exactly. The book even suggests keeping a time log for a few days.
Oh, interesting.
To really see where our time goes. We might be surprised by how much time we're spending on things that don't really matter to us.
It's like becoming a time detective.
I like that. Gathering evidence and clues to understand how we're using this precious resource.
Once we're aware, we can start making more conscious choices. Eliminate those time-wasting activities, the things that don't add value to our lives.
It's not about becoming rigid. It's about cultivating awareness and then using that awareness to make changes that work for us.
This makes me think of another point the book stresses, something that might seem counterintuitive when it comes to productivity. Self-care.
Self-care is essential. We can't pour from an empty cup.
So true. We can't expect to be productive and energized if we're not taking care of ourselves, our physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
It's so easy to neglect self-care when we're busy and overwhelmed.
Oh, I know. We might skip sleep, grab unhealthy takeout, miss our workouts.
All in the name of getting more done.
But the book argues this is just a recipe for burnout.
And ultimately, less productivity.
So it's about getting enough sleep.
Eating nutritious foods.
Moving our bodies regularly.
Engaging in activities that bring us joy.
It's not selfish, it's an investment.
An investment in our well-being and our ability to show up fully in all areas of our lives.
It's about creating that sustainable lifestyle, one that supports productivity and fulfillment. It's about recognizing our time is precious and that we deserve to spend it in ways that nourish our minds and bodies.
You've really captured the essence of what this book is about. It's not just about techniques. It's about shifting our mindset, aligning our actions with our values, creating a life that feels purposeful and spacious.
It's funny, I started this deep dive wanting to find ways to squeeze more into my schedule, but I'm leaving with a sense of empowerment and a renewed appreciation for intentionality and self-care.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Not doing more, but doing what matters.
We hope this deep dive has inspired you to take a fresh look at your relationship with time.
Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about making conscious choices that help you create a life that's both productive and fulfilling.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, be mindful of your time.
Invest it wisely.
And make every moment count.